What's up, YouTube? This is a update on our build at the moment. For those who don't know, we died on our level 81 Warbringer, and we rerolled a Titan to try things a bit differently. So the build is very similar, although with differences. Now, I would say that with this new approach that I'm doing, I would do the exact same thing on Warbringer. It feels excellent. There's a new tech we're abusing now, which is the weapon swap one. I wouldn't say abusing, it's intended, but it makes the build twice as strong, if not more. So the most important change is weapon swapping. Now we're using the full weapon set skill points, and that is because we are swapping our weapons for totem summoning. We summon totems. We have dual two-hander. They both give me +4 to melee gems. You can roll all the way to +7. I'm on SSF. I have not found better weapons yet. So this gives me +8 to totem level. And then right after we summon them, we swap off the shield, which is our second weapon set. So very smooth playstyle. If you have weapon swap speed, it's literally instant. Here, let me explain. So have a look here. I'm going to summon totems without swapping weapons. Now watch me do it while I swap the shield every single time. Every single one of those summons, I swap the shield and back. We have extremely fast weapon swap speed, as you can see. There's no delay. I have shield up, I want to summon totems. It's almost the same as if I normally summon. How do we get that? Well, we get it from this part here. We get 30% and 50%, it's 80%. Furthermore, I have another 23% on this jewel, and I have a further 16% on a different jewel. Why is this so important? Because now we have a different skill tree depending on what weapon we have out. If we have two-handers out, we have all of the totem nodes selected. But if we swap over to shield, you can see they get deselected, and instead we go to defenses. What does this mean? We can get very, very defensive, something we couldn't do before. So our character currently has max res on two-hander weapons. 75, 75, 75. Armor, 14k, nothing special. But keep in mind, we almost never have our dual weapons out. We only have them out for summoning totems, and we immediately swap back to shield. While our shield is up, 87% fire res. We take no damage from fire almost. 79 lightning res, 77 cold res. We have 18k armor. This armor goes all the way to 35k if we get full stacks of scavenge plating, which we will have during most of mapping. On bosses, you might have 4 to 5 stacks, and maybe we'll have like 25k armor, but the armor is very high as well. Furthermore, the armor also mitigates damage taken from fire, so we're immune to fire damage. I have never taken any big fire hits on this character. Even from the falling meteors, they take a small percent of my HP. So yeah, weapon swapping, that is what we do. Now let's talk about how we're going to do the weapon swapping, how we're going to set it up, what you need to know to make this new build work the way it works. And we will be showing some combat footage of how to play the character. We'll show some mapping, we'll show some bossing, we'll show single target, we'll show multi-target. This is the build at the moment. We drop totems behind us, we break armor in front of us with the shield, and we move forward. Everything in front of us gets blocked, we take no damage, basically. Pretty similar to what we did with the Warbringer, but this time with the Titan instead. Make sure to block, because if you don't block, you are in danger. Now, obviously this block doesn't work on AoE. It only works on actual projectiles and hits. Anything that hits with area will go through. So let me give you an example of just how much armor this build has when we stack up 10 of these points. When we have 10 points up, we are at 24k armor. 24,000 armor. And that means a fourth of that, which is no small amount. We're talking about, what, 6,000 armor is also blocking fire damage. So we're basically immune to fire damage. Fire damage tickles. It doesn't really do anything. Lightning damage, we have 79 res. Pretty strong. We can tank most lightning damage. Now, that's not to say lightning can't kill us. We're not that strong versus lightning as we are fire, but it's still pretty damn resistible. And of course, with 24,000 armor, we tank physical damage like here. We just took 2 really big slams, and we didn't even lose half our HP. Now, you should never tank blue slams from those mobs. Big slams from those mobs is a bad idea, but we're just showcasing what it can do. So, while our shield is up, yes, there's a few things that go through it, but everything that goes through it is heavily, heavily mitigated. Now, keep in mind, this new iteration of the build is weapon swapping. So, when you are summoning totems, you are vulnerable. But not that vulnerable. You still have max res. We still have a good 15,000 armor. And that's not counting for when we have our plating up. When our plating is up, it's actually a lot higher than that. Sorry, it's a lot higher. So Our weapon swap is extremely fast. We have a lot of weapon swap speed. If you look, shield is instant. Totem summon is instant. Alright, moving on, bossing time. Now this is a bit of a rippy boss, we have to be careful. Alright, let's see here. Just dodge the dagger always. Oh, we're good. Nothing he can do anymore. He's dead. So that's tier 11. You can see we melt bosses. The damage for bossing is very, very high. And this is not even considering the fact that we didn't go for a full boss setup. If I wanted, I could take Inspiration out. This is actually only a 5 link. It's not a 6 link. Inspiration doesn't give damage. I could have used Conk Effect for 50% more damage on that fight. So, this is quality of life. But essentially, the DPS itself was a 5 link. Now, clear is not amazing on the build. Clear is just decent. There are builds with a lot faster clear. But our bossing is phenomenal, and our tankiness is very, very good. So for example, this would be rares, right? Versus rares, we kill very, very fast. Regardless of how tanky they are, they usually just drop fast. And we're very safe versus them. There's not really much they can do against us. We have our shield up the whole time and they can't really hit us. Only AoEs hit us, and again, we have very high mitigation for AoEs. Also, we do have good movement speed. If we want to, like, zoom around, we do have shield charge. It's very good for getting around the map. I don't really use it much because I think running into a group of mobs is very dangerous like that if you don't know what it's over there. But, yeah, if you've cleared a map and you got to get somewhere, or if you're playing softcore, this feels really good. I forgot to swap my build out. Nice. So yeah, Conk Effect instead of Intelligence, instead of Inspiration. Now, my totems cost more if I do that, but I just need to summon 3 totems, right? That would do way more damage, watch this. Right. That's definitely a tech you can do for bossing. Right before the boss, you just drop it. And it's a lot of maps, hello? Speaking of the build itself. The leveling build is here. It is the same as before. We have Ancestral Warrior Totem. We have Resonating. This is what you swap into after level 55. Scavenge Plating is our main aura. We can have Time of Need as well for further auras. Or we could cut out Time of Need if we have like a 6-link Scavenge Plating. Add the Herbalism, add the Clarity, and that's fine too. We could add something else on top of it if you have more Spirit. But Shield Charge for movement, and we have Leap Slam for movement as well. The supports are pretty self-explanatory. You can remove Inspiration for Conk Effect. If you want to do more damage for bossing, you can like hot swap it right before a boss fight. It gives you 40% more damage. And for leveling, we use Shockwave Totem since Act 1. And that is about it. Let's have a look at the passive tree. So, how do we start off? Well, it's extremely similar to what we did with the Warbringer, and keep in mind, this is also exactly what I would do in Warbringer as well, so you don't have to play Titan. I think both ascendancies work very well. I would say Titan is better for more damage, more weapon swap speed, more quality of life overall, and Warbringer is tankier, and he can take bigger one-shots because of his ascendancy. So, starting off, just like before, we pick up melee nodes. We go straight to the Totem cluster here. Once we get here, our Shockwave Totems are amazing. Furthermore, we go into +1 to totems. This will make Shockwave Totems feel way better, and I can play 3 instead of 2. At 40 points, we just fill these out, more totem quality of life. 50 points, we pick up the last +1 totems. Now we can play 4 Shockwave Totems. And we can also pick up our first ascendancy. You can go for inventory, or if you want to respec, you can go for more life, for example, more maximum life, and then respec into this once we get our second ascendancy. But yeah, now our totem playstyle is fully set for Shockwave. There then will come a point where you'll just have extra points. I like to pick up some fire protection. I like to pick up some extra area damage. That's all fine. We're still not really using our weapon points yet because we're going to respec once we go for Sunder and Ancestral Warrior. Around 70 points is when you can do the full respec. So what changes? I leave the melee damage nodes out. Reason being is because at this point we're also getting 50% increased effect of small passive skills. Now, these skills themselves are pretty inefficient. 8%, 10%, 10%. If you're playing Titan, it's going to be 15% and 12%. The ones we really want are the damage nodes here. 16%, 16%. Same thing here. 15%, 15%. These nodes are way stronger. So we cut this out and we start going down the strength route. Now, why do we go strength? Because we need strength to scale accuracy in order not to miss. Before this point, if you're playing Shockwave, if you don't find much accuracy, pick up Resolute Technique. If you find accuracy in gear, you don't need it. If you don't find it, pick it up. It's only 4-point investment. It's worth getting. It'll make your life a lot easier. You can get this very early on. But yeah, once we hit Sunder, we can't use that anymore because we need to crit. So we're getting Unexpected Finesse. With Strength, we're getting weapon swap speed here as well. So we can do our swapping playstyle. And we are going to pick up also Giant's Blood. And Giant's Blood also requires strength. So all these strength nodes get picked up. These nodes are very good defensively, but they're also giving me plus 10 strength here, plus 10 strength here. We get 12 here if you're playing Titan, 8 if you're playing Warbringer, another 25 here as well. So by this point, you have enough strength usually to dual wield two-handers for your weapon swap setup and dual wield a one-hander when you're on shield. Now is when we start putting points into weapon specifically. So before this respec, I think you can just go everything the same. But once you start weapon swapping, we're going to start using these points to our advantage. How many points you're going to have depends how far you are in the campaign. I assumed at this point you have like 18. So what I would do at the beginning is I pick up all of the important totem nodes with my two-handed setup, which is my weapon setup for totems. So I'll pick up this cluster. I'll pick up the +1, obviously, and this cluster, and I'll pick up some of this cluster here. As for the defensive weapon, which is going to be my shield, I pick up a little bit more armor here. I like to pick up reduced cost of spells, meaning they get converted to life instead of mana, because sometimes Resonating Shield can be a bit expensive. It can drain your mana. Also, more skill speed feels pretty good on Resonating Shield. It'll proc more often, and again, less mana cost because it is a channeling skill, feels decent. And I also like to pick this up here. Previously, I had this on main points. We don't have enough main points to go around, so I just put it on my shield. So I have more fire defenses when my shield is out. Important to keep in mind, weapon swap works as follows. You go to your skill. I go to my totem skill. And I have my dual wield on weapon set 1. So you specifically click weapon set 1, you turn off weapon set 2. As for Resonating Shield, you'll have it on 2. I don't have to click 1 because I have no shield on 1, so it's always going to default to 2, but you can turn it off and just put it for 2, for example. That works as well. So you do want to set up your skills to always use the right weapon set that you're using because, again, when I have this, all my totems are activated. All my totem passives on tree are activated. When I have this, all my defensive skill points are activated. We go for 10 more points. What changes here? Well, I'm going to turn this to main weapon points now because I do want all of my skills to cost less mana, including totem summoning. Totems do get really, really expensive once you get enough plus melee gem level, so this is a great note to have on totems. Now that we release this from the secondary weapon points, we can put those elsewhere. So we still keep these for now, but I like to go up this area here and pick up some extra all elemental resists, including fire res. Fire res is really important. Something you need to understand with this build is, while you have this up, you're pretty much immune to all hit damage. Everything hitting you does 0 damage because you have 100% block, but you are not immune to AoEs. And what are the biggest hitting AoEs? Chaos damage, fire damage, lightning damage. It feels really damn good not to worry about fire damage. Magma explosions, number 1. Craig explosions, number 2. Meteors from casters, number 3. Having 87% fire res, and additionally having 25% of armor applying to fire damage taken, makes you immune. You basically take no fire damage. One less thing to worry about. I try to do the same for lightning. I have 79%. It's hard to get more, but again, lightning damage, it's one of the things that can hit you hard. So chaos damage, just try to get as much chaos res as you can. That is why I like to pick this up in my defensive nodes. A lot more max resist for lightning, for fire, and makes you just way tankier while you're blocking. Furthermore, I pick this up here with my weapon set 1 because I want more duration on my totems. Now, ideally, like level 90, I'll have this in my main. I'm not going to have this on weapon set 1, I'll have it on everything because this does work on scavenge plating, which is a very, very good defensive layer. So having another 50% increased duration on that would be great, but I don't have the points at level 84 yet. So, pick this up weapon set 1, this weapon set 2, and that is pretty much it for 80 points into the skill tree. My next 10 skill points, we just go a little bit deeper. I pick up another Ascendancy. For Titan, it would be more life. For Warbringer, it would be Jade. And what changes here is we pick up some nice quality of life for totems. So I do take a few points out from totem placement speed here and from here. Reason being is I can pick up totem placement here as well, and I can pick up more attack speed on totems if I've summoned a totem recently. Furthermore, I make these main points, they're no longer weapons at 2 points, so I save a few weapons at 2 points that I can put elsewhere. I put them here. So now I have a few more set 2 points to put into more max res. This is amazing. If you have 80% fire res, that gives you +4 maximum fire. If you have 120, you get +6 maximum fire res. So an amazing group of nodes. You also get +1 to everything else, so I picked this up immediately. And that is pretty much the changes for those 10 points. Next 10 points, we pick up just quality of life stuff. I like to pick up a few points here normally, and I like to pick up these 2 nodes for my defensive set. This gives me a lot more physical damage prevented, recouped as life, and this gives me some extra armor, which always feels nice. And for main points, I like to pick up this right here. Just more strength overall and some extra increased life. Stun threshold is nice as well, so nice little note to pick up. Lastly, by the time you have 110 points, your totems are getting really, really expensive. So I do a bit of a respec. I like to go into blood magic. You don't have to do this. You could do other things. You could anoint, for example, less mana cost. This feels really good to me. So what ends up happening is I will unspec this entire area here. Now I do leave the duration on my totems, but I remove mana cost, and I go straight to blood magic. I do this with my main attribute points, and I'll put my red points elsewhere. So as for the red points, we put as many red points as we can into totems. We leave the red points here. We leave the red points here. Actually, no. All right, let's go back. Once we've unspec'd these, we have more normal points to work with. So we're going to put them into blood magic. I'll convert these green points into normal points, and I will use the remainder of my secondary points into life regeneration rate. Reason being, I pick it up here and I pick it up here. The reason I do that is because now that everything costs life, I want my HP to regen. Secondarily, I want to have more regen than mana cost for Resonating Shield, so my life doesn't go down. So when I do this in a fight, my HP still keeps regenning. If I didn't have the regen rate, I would not have a chance to, I would be losing HP per second. In order to really do this, you do want a steel plate, expert steel plate, that gives you regen per second. That 2% regen per second is amazing. You can get regen per second on the tree, but it's a little bit expensive to go into. You could pick up this node, for example, but you need to have this active as your defensive one. So you'd actually have to use main attribute points onto it instead of weapon set points. So it's a little bit awkward to get. But yeah, once you have this plate body, you just have very, very good sustain. You don't have to like keep using health pots, right, in between casts. You can use Vitality, but it's only 1%. And in order to use Vitality, you would have to drop your time of need, which means you'd probably want like a 5 link on scavenge plating. because you want to put Herbalism as well and Clarity. So maybe even a 6th link was what you would want to have. Because otherwise you don't have enough Spirit. Now, if you do get Spirit on like body armor or on your amulet, definitely Vitality is great. I would add it for sure. So yeah, we swap into Blood Magic, and we get some regeneration nodes. And that's pretty much where I'm at. I'll showcase some map clearing at tier 14. It's clearing tier 14, a bit dangerous. My character personally is not tier 14 ready because I only have 36% Chaos Res. If I could get this Chaos Res to like 60%, I'm pretty sure I can do tier 14s, 15s, no problem. But I did do a tier 14 map to showcase it on hardcore. It was a little bit dangerous. I did it for the video. Right now, tier 12s feel easy, piece of cake. So the build is working fantastic in endgame. But yeah, once I get a little bit more Chaos Res, it'll be a lot better. And we have so much to upgrade. If you look at our build, our weapons suck. This is a level 50 weapon with +4, I can get +7. This is a level 33 weapon, +4, I can get +7. My rings have nothing on them. I have no Chaos Res on rings. My belt is atrocious, a level 44 belt. Because I'm playing SSF, my character is very underpowered in gear. If I was playing trade, this character, legitimately, at this level, and I had the currency to buy the gear, I would be probably doing 9 times the damage I'm doing right now. Approximately 9x the damage. So whatever I hit for now, multiply by 9. And I would be twice as tanky. So there's a lot of room to scale this. So even as is, with really bad gear, I can clear endgame. With better gear, this can clear anything, I think. Furthermore, if I go even further, there's a few things I would change. Like if I get another 10 levels, if I go to 95, I would personally like to... Yeah, I would like to get this here, Pylon. It's a good increase to damage for Sunder. I would like to probably convert this to main points as well. Maybe get a little bit more regeneration. And that's about it. Maybe if I get enough jewels, I can remove this cluster entirely. That's 4 skill points I get back to put elsewhere. Right now, the damage is fantastic. Pretty much just getting tankier. Oh yeah, that is pretty much it. That is the update to the build. If you guys have any questions, you can ask me in YouTube comments. I read every single comment, and if you have a question, I will answer it. The build feels great. We're solo self-one hardcore. We're clearing every single map we do, no problems. We can face tank almost everything, except for chaos damage, but that's mainly due to gear not being good enough. I don't have enough chaos res. Alright. I will have a link to this in the description. It is all here. As for gear, nothing really special. You just need to have plus level to melee gems on your weapons, on your amulet, and on your glove. Max res, high armor, and you are good to go. Again, thank you for watching. Feel free to ask if you have any questions, and I'll see you all next time.